Aaron Curtin, otherwise known as the Sears, but as we all know, yeah, I normally don't do this program by myself, but today it's just me. And today, well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to celebrate, Throw Punch Thursday.
Guess what?
We're here. We're going to have a good time. We're going to, how else? Rumble. Yes, right. We're on Rumble as well. However, you're partaking in the program and you're watching us live, go ahead and let us know what's up. Say hello. Let us know what you think about the program. Would love to hear from you.
Is that the mockingbird? Is that the mockingbird?
So if I seem a bit discombobulated today, I have to be honest because I'm all hopped up on cold medicine. Yesterday's program, we did not do a program yesterday because I woke up. No, I didn't wake up. It started the night before, literally after I finished our Tuesday evening program, and I just was feeling horrible. And I don't know about y'all, but usually when I start to kind of feel that way, the first thing I do is I shut everything down. I don't do any work. I don't do anything. I literally just wrap up and I start making sure that I am taking care of myself in order to get myself back to the point where I am able to function again. Sometimes that takes a while, sometimes not. Usually within 24 hours, I'm functional again. And I finally got back to being functional this morning. But now, that having been said, I'm still hopped up on cold medicine because I still got a little bit of something, whatever it is. So, once again, if I seem a little bit off, just so y'all know why, it's not because of the Irish coffee that I may or may not be consuming. Yeah. Anyway, all that having been said, we've got some interesting things to discuss during today's program. So, once again, if you guys have questions, comments, if you guys want to participate in the program, feel free to go ahead and do so. Just let us know what's up. Go ahead and comment. I'll be following your comments. But before we get into it, let's start off with a quick shout out to our sponsors. We're going to start with Hitman Industries, rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at any length. If you've purchased an AR recently, chances are you already have one of their barrels, which means I know you want another one. Just go to hitmanindustries.net. And then we've got the California Republican Assembly working to help elect conservatives at all level of government, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. Ronald Reagan himself once referred to CRA as the conscience of the Republican Party. All you got to do to check them out is go to cragop.org. That's cragop.org. If you want to be a part of California's future today, you got to join CRA. And then we've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market. You will find them at hogholsters.com. All you have to do is go to hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com. Go there, check it out, spend some money with them. And by the way, if you use a discount code, The Rundown, just like it is right up there, one word, no spaces, all caps, you're going to get a discount that you're going to definitely enjoy. So go to hogholsters.com, helping Americans wear guns. And then finally, it's changing temperature, changing time of year out there, which means you probably need some updated tactical gear. You need to go to uscombatgear.com, where they have a huge selection. They have deep discounts, especially for groups. They specialize in group sales and the best customer service available on the market. Go to uscombatgear.com. Check them out. Veteran owned and operated, where you can find all things tactical except the gun, of course. All right. Now, with that, we're going to go ahead and get into today's program. Interesting stuff going on. Now, I don't know about y'all, but every time I hear about a government shutdown, they talk about how devastating it's going to be, how horrible it's going to be for everybody. It's just, their people are going to die, and there's absolutely nothing good can happen or is going to happen. The world is going to end because of a government shutdown. Now, the last government shutdown that I remember, wasn't a problem. I mean, didn't affect me any. I don't know about y'all, but it didn't affect me any. But they make a very, very big deal about government shutdowns. In this particular case, though, what's interesting about this one is they usually point to Republicans, and Republicans are usually the ones that always catch the blame for government shutdowns. Well, this time, it appears even the media has caught on that this is not a Republican government shutdown, because Republicans ask for one thing. They ask for a clean continuing resolution or a clean spending bill, which basically said, look, we're going to continue until November 21st, 2025. We'll continue whatever our spending is. We're going to continue at those levels until we're going to continue at those very same levels, meaning we're not going to increase spending at all, right? But that's not, in fact, what's going on here. What Democrats want is they want something more. And what they want is they want to increase spending. And the area in which they want to increase spending, well, let's just say that the area of increased spending has to do with healthcare for illegal immigrants. And this is a piece over at the California Globe. And the reason why I'm talking specifically about the California Globe is because this is in California. This is an example of the sort of stuff that Democrats are doing in places like California that are allowing us. Because truth is, in the law, it says the money's not supposed to go to provide health care for illegal immigrants. Well, places like California use an accounting gimmick in order to make that happen. And that's what this article is over here by Megan Berth over at the California Globe. It says, Schumer shutdown exposes California's healthcare budget gimmicks for illegal aliens. The U.S. government has shut down due to a budget impasse between Republicans and Democrats over funding Medicaid for an estimated 1.4 illegal immigrants enrolled on the taxpayer-funded program. Democrats have tried to convince Americans that illegal immigrants cannot receive federal health care benefits. Yet, there are many states like California who have drafted their own policies and used loopholes to provide Medicaid benefits to illegal immigrants. Quote, California is one of 8 states that has expanded their Medicaid programs to provide taxpayer-funded health care to illegal aliens. While federal law currently prohibits federal Medicaid funding from going to illegal aliens, with the exception of emergency services. Recently, watchdog groups reports expose how federal taxpayers picked up the tab for these state expansions of Medicaid. For instance, California is financing its expansion of Medicaid to illegal aliens by implementing a budget gimmick to draw down increasing federal funding, placing American taxpayers on the hook for free health care. California is giving to illegal aliens, according to a report by Congressional Budget Committee. And that's really what's going on here, folks, is they're increasing funding, or they're finding a way, or they're using budget gimmicks to increase the amount of money that they're pulling in from these programs so that they can utilize that funding to pay for health care for illegal immigrants. And what the federal government, what happened in both the rescission and the one big beautiful bill was cut out. And now you have Democrats saying, we want you to put it back. And so they're not just fighting for more money, but they're specifically fighting for more money to provide health care, non-emergency health care. Because mind you, anyone in this country, if you are here and you are in need of life-saving health care, you can go to an emergency room and you will get health care. That's, by the way, one of the big fallacies that people act like people don't have access to health care. No, anyone who walks into an emergency room cannot be refused for any reason. So people have access to health care. There are tons of free clinics that provide health care to those who are here illegally. And some of them are funded by Medicare or Medicaid. Some of them are not. Some of them are philanthropy. But everyone who is here in the United States has access to health care. What they're talking about is health insurance. They want everyone to have access to health insurance, which, by the way, is not the same as health care, just so you know. It's a lot easier to get health care if you have health insurance, that I will admit. It's probably a lot cheaper to get health care if you have health insurance. But everybody has access to health care in the United States. But I just wanted to be very clear that this shutdown, the one that they're claiming was going to harm all these people, which I'm still trying to figure out who's going to harm. Anyway, it's not a Republican shutdown. It's a shutdown that was instituted overwhelmingly by Democrats. They're the ones primarily responsible. They're the ones who've made it happen. And it is for one reason and one reason only. Well, it's for 2 reasons. One reason is for health care for illegal immigrants, but it's also because Chuck Schumer, well, let's just be real. He needs to look like he's putting up a fight. He does. He needs to look like he's putting up a fight because right now he's being challenged by the progressives on the left in his particular party. Let me show this. whether or not this is for health, this is about health care for illegal immigrants. Here's Maxine Waters, by the way, admitting as much.
Do Democrats want to prioritize the health care of illegal aliens over a government shutdown? Because if the government does shut down, American employees
Excuse
are going to
me,
be furloughed.
stop it right there. We're not prioritizing. What we're doing is saying simply we want to keep the government open and we want to work with the Republicans and have a bipartisan agreement to keep this government open, and health care is at the top of our agenda.
But aren't Democrats demanding health care for illegal aliens?
Democrats are demanding health care for everybody. We want to save lives. We want to make sure that health care is available to those who would die, but having the help of their government.
So you're good with the government shutdown, even if it means giving health care to people who aren't American citizens?
Well, that's what you're pushing on. What you're trying to do is you're standing here and you're trying to make me say that somehow we're going to put non-citizens over Americans. Quit it. Stop it. This is the kind of journalism we don't need.
No, I'm just
You're
asking
divisive.
questions.
No, you're not.
Yeah, no, that's
you're being
what-
divisive. No,
No, I'm
please.
not.
You don't need to.
See, what's funny is that, in other words, you're being divisive by asking for the truth. Because that's exactly what's going on here. Is they're saying we're going to shut down the government because we want to make sure that illegal immigrants. By the way, she's saying their government. I'm sorry, if you are here illegally, this is not your government. Your government is back in the nation where you came from. Right? That's your government. If you are in these United States and you are a U.S. citizen, then this is your government. I'll be honest, even if you are here as a legal resident, this is not your government. If you are not a U.S. citizen, this is not your government. It's just not. You're not a citizen. It is not your government. And you are not due. We are not due. We do not owe you access to the benefits or to the services, to the social services that are available here. We are under no obligation to provide those to you. We're just not. I know that sounds kind of cruel, but that is the way that it is. And if being a citizen does not have its benefits, then what's the point of having citizenship? What is it? With citizenship comes both rights and responsibilities, and you seem to want all the rights with none of the responsibilities. Those who come to this country illegally, you want to ignore our laws and all of that. Anyway, so it's very clear. We now know what this shutdown is all about. And to be quite honest, most people aren't feeling the pain of it, which, by the way, might mean that this shutdown might go on a little bit longer than people think. But in the end, I think that what will wind up happening is Schumer will cave because he's done what he can to show that he's fighting. Right? But it also goes to show the lies and the hypocrisy that places like California do, because they want to say, well, Donald Trump doesn't believe in the rule of law and the Constitution, but you've got them on in their head. They don't care about the rule of law, right? They don't care about whether or not they look or they appear to be hypocrites. And here's a great example. Let's talk a little bit about the policing. Right. Let's talk a little bit about policing, or the quote unquote, like what they like to refer to as the secret police. Like they just passed a bill right now that basically said that if you are doing law enforcement in the state of California, you are not allowed to wear masks. You're not allowed to hide your identity. Right. Well, there's some interesting stuff included in that bill that they don't tell you, or that the media has not reported on. And this is being reported. This is by Hector Barajas over at the California Globe. It says here, exposing California's secret police hypocrisy. Last week, California Governor Gavin Newsom, state legislators and local officials, and community leaders were on camera thundering about authoritarian regimes and secret police tactics. They staged a press conference that accused others of terror campaigns and congratulated themselves on bold leadership with Senate Bill 627, the so-called No Secret Police Act. The rhetoric is soaring. The hypocrisy is staggering. There's what SB 627, here's what SB 627 really does. It bans local police from wearing masks while on duty. Sheriff deputies, city police, and school police. They're all covered. Break the rule and you may face criminal penalties and civil lawsuits, each potentially carrying a fine of up to $10,000. But hidden in the fine print is a carve out big enough to drive a CHP cruiser through. The California Highway Patrol is exempt. The Department of Justice's police force is exempt. Even the franchise tax board's armed officers are exempt. In other words, the governor and state legislature exempted their own security forces while cracking down on everyone else. They railed against the secret police unless it's their police. It is fine for theirs. It's a pattern we have seen over and over again. Yep, there you go, folks, right there. Funny part is they've exempted their own police. They've exempted state police, but local police don't get to do it. And they tried to make it apply to federal police, but federal police are like, yeah, no, we're not going to comply with that. We have the supremacy clause, and if you decide you want to try and enforce it, go right ahead. Still waiting for them to show up and try. First of all, there are no local cops who are going to try and arrest federal police officers behind this stuff. But it goes to show you once again the level of hypocrisy that they have. Like, for example, and by the way, as Hector points out here, it's consistent with their hypocrisy, right? Let me pull the article back up. Here you go. You have during COVID, Californians were told not to send their kids to school, not to go to the beach or visit loved ones in a nursing home. Meanwhile, politicians like Gavin Newsom sent their kids to private school where they went in person and went out to dining at places like, the California Laundry, right? They boast of climate leadership while flying on private jets, right? They say, well, we want fairness. In the meantime, they've already gerrymandered California's district and they want to gerrymander them even more. And then finally, they talk about California being crazy expensive, yet they're the ones pushing all of the programs and all the policies that have made California so expensive. I mean, they are the heart of the problem here in the state of California, right? Everything we're talking about here is all a result of their hypocrisy. They don't even follow the same rules and commitments that they want everyone else to follow, but hey, you know what? They look good. They look good because they passed a bill that was going to make someone else comply with something that they aren't even willing to comply with. Anyway, it's all hypocrisy. It really is. Oh, this next one. Oh, you're going to love this one because when we talk about, once again, hypocrisy, we talk about the problems surrounding a lot of this stuff. DHS, this is the Department of Homeland Security. They've uncovered massive, when I say massive, I mean massive fraud by migrants there in Minneapolis. Now, you might recall Minneapolis is it's probably, I don't know if you'd call it I don't know if it's Midwest. I don't know if it's considered the Northeast or if it's considered East Coast. I don't know. Maybe y'all can tell me in the comments which it is confirmed. But you might know it's basically otherwise known as Somalia West. This is where folks like Ilya and Omar have come from. But it has exposed massive fraud by migrants in Minneapolis. And when I say fraud, I mean largely fraud at the taxpayer's expense. And this is being reported by Breitbart. A survey in Minneapolis showed that almost 50% of migrant households have cheated American citizens, says top official in the Donald Trump's Department of Homeland Security. Quote, officers encountered blatant marriage fraud, visa overstay, people claiming to work at businesses that can't be found, forged documents, abuse of the H-1B visa system, abuse of the the H-1B is the white collar visa system, abuse of the F-1 student visa program, and other discrepancies, said Joseph Enlow, director of U.S. Citizenship for Immigration Services. Let me play these couple of video clips here, kind of talking a little bit about it.
You mentioned that some of this should have been caught earlier in previous administrations. What wasn't being done, in Well, you're aware of the CHNV, the parole programs that the previous administration was involved in, bringing people in. People here were allowed to sponsor individuals to come in from certain countries. As I said, we found organizations here that were involved in sponsoring many individuals. They did not know necessarily the individuals they were sponsoring. They were doing almost a blanket sponsorship. That is fraud. That's something that should have been caught. It's something that I know the previous administration was aware of how the sponsorships were happening, and no action was taken. Some of the other troubling cases that our officers found. In one case, officers identified an alien who had overstayed his visa waiver, who was the son of a known or suspected terrorist on the no-fly list. He had previously been found to have engaged in marriage fraud, which resulted in the denial of several immigration benefit requests. He was arrested and is now presently being returned to his country of origin. In another, an individual admitted to obtaining a fake death certificate in Kenya for just $100 to prove he was no longer married. In reality, his wife is alive, living here in Minneapolis, and is the mother of 5 of his children. And incidentally, he has another wife living in Sweden with whom he has an additional 3 children. In another case, an alien entered the United States without inspection in 2023, was released by Border Patrol. The alien married a U.S. citizen while in removal proceedings and was interviewed at the Minneapolis-St. Paul USCIS field office just last week, where both he and his American spouse stated under oath that their marriage was legitimate. The USCIS officers conducting the interview were suspicious. The site visits were authorized the same day. The American spouse ultimately that afternoon admitted the marriage was fraudulent and entered into solely for immigration purposes and withdrew her petition for that alien. This type of same-day action for from interview to site visit has really never happened before. And I am incredibly impressed and thankful to the diligent work of the agents who made that happen for the first time, but not for the last time. And finally, I wanted to note, in one case, an alien engaged in marriage fraud by taking advantage of an elderly U.S. citizen spouse, including threats and severe neglect. The American spouse was able to divorce the alien with the help of her family and caregivers, but the family still lives in fear of retaliation from the alien over the failed marriage fraud scam. These are not victimless crimes. Every case of fraud we uncover damages our national security, undermines the integrity of our immigration system, and as I just gave you an example, has real consequences.
So, and once again, this is all stuff that has basically been perpetrated. That's the one. Perpetrated and perpetuated during the Biden administration. In other words, the idea was we're just going to let anyone in. We're not going to do any sort of policing. We're not going to verify anything. We're not going to check anything. We don't care. We don't know who's coming in, and we don't care who's coming in. And what you're starting to see now is you're starting to see officials who work for these agencies who are like, look, I just want to be able to do my job. And that's what they're doing. They're now grateful that they are able to do their jobs. They're able to show up. They're able to go after these folks, and they're in a position right now where they're going to be able to stand up and I don't know, like I said, do their jobs and defend our country. Because here's the thing: if these people are going to lie to get here, they're going to lie to stay here. If they're going to commit the level of crimes, a lot of the crimes that you're hearing right there, if they're going to commit fraud, if they're going to blackmail people, if they're going to threaten people in order to be able to stay here, what do you think they're going to do? What do you think they're going to do going forward? Do you think that they're going to change? If they did that to get here, what do you think they're going to do to stay here? Right? Anyway. It's good, and I'm glad to see that there is a level of enforcement that is going to be taking place, that people are serious enough about this. And here's the thing, folks, and I know that a lot of it sounds harsh because you're like, oh, well, they're just immigrants just trying to come here and just trying to do the right thing. The problem is this, is that you had a system under the Biden administration that just let whoever in. And clearly, as we're seeing, that's caused problems. It's caused legal problems. It's caused financial problems. And now you have an administration who's coming in who's saying, look, we need to fix all this, right? We need to come back, and I get it. someone came and they gave you something, they allowed you to do stuff that they should have never allowed you to do. And now the next administration is coming in and saying, you know what, we've got to right this wrong. And the ones that are righting the wrong seems like the best are being made out to be the bad guys. You know, it's kind of like saying someone came in and they messed up the entire house. And then the next person comes in and you're mad now because they're making you clean up the mess made, by the mess that was allowed to happen under the previous administration. They're making you clean it up, so they are now the bad guys. And that's what we're dealing with here. You know what? Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. That's just kind of the way that's kind of the way that it should be, because we need to get back to the point where we know who's coming into our country. We should. We really need to know who's coming into the country. We need to regulate who's coming into the country. We need to make sure we don't have criminals coming in. We need to make sure that we don't have people coming in with various diseases or whatever. And I'm not saying people are, but anyway, I'm not saying we need that they are, but I'm saying that we need to know who's coming into the country. We need to make sure that you're going to add to the country, not subtract from the country. You make this country a better place, not a worse place. Let's not just assume that people coming into the country make it a better place. I'm sorry. I know. I do not accept that. Not just anybody. I want you to think about this. Would just anybody walking into your house make your home a better home? No matter what they did, no matter what their background, no matter where they came from, would they make your home a better home? If you say anything other than I don't know or no, then you got a problem. I'll call it an intelligence problem, because when you don't know that they're going to make it a better home. And therefore, that's a risk that you wouldn't take. You wouldn't just let anybody move into your home. Anyway, I actually skipped an item, and this is one that Mike sent over to me. Unfortunately, like I said, he's not going to be able to be here today, but Mike sent this one over, and I wanted to make sure to share with you. And this has to do with police chiefs, and this is a piece over at the NBC News, so you know that they're taking this seriously. In this particular article, they're writing, police chiefs sound alarm over disturbing rise in rhetoric and cite rising political threats. Current and former police leaders, citing rising threats of violence, are expressing alarm over a disturbing rise in rhetoric in the U.S. and calling for criminal prosecution of individuals, including elected and public figures, who cite violence to contribute to a climate that fosters targeted attacks. In an unusual step, the International Association of Police Chiefs, one of the country's largest police associations, recently passed a resolution condemning the incitement of violence. There has been a disturbing rise in rhetoric from political and community leaders that has contributed to acts of violence against law enforcement officers, elected officials, and members of the public, the association states in a document. The IACP encourages political and community leaders to exercise restraint, responsibility, and thoughtfulness in their public statements, recognizing the influence their words have on public safety. Former police leaders expressed alarm in interviews, warning that a number of threats to the public, schools, police leaders, and law enforcement was at the highest level seen in their careers. Quote, the level of vitriol is at a spot that I've never observed in my entire career. Former St. Paul, Minnesota police chief Todd Axtell told NBC News, it's having a devastating impacts on community and police departments and law enforcement agencies throughout the country. Now, they go out of their way, painfully out of their way, to make it sound like this is just a right-wing thing. But I want to be frank with you now. In the last 6 months, other than the shooting that took place, other than the leader of the Minneapolis, one of the Minneapolis, I think it was the Assembly, who got shot, and even then, I think was pretty sure that the person who did that was mentally ill and wasn't necessarily wasn't considered a right-wing ideologue. But even then, other than that, I'll throw that one out there. When you look at the attacks on churches, the attacks on Christian schools, the attempted assassination of the President of the United States not once but twice, the Charlie Kirk assassination, the attacks on, I think I mentioned the multiple attacks on ICE, the attacks on shootings of law enforcement officers. Almost every single case, these are people who, and I will continue to say this, these are people who were mentally or they had issues. I'm going to say that they were extremists, but they were almost largely, overwhelmingly encouraged by left-wing rhetoric. And left-wing rhetoric that's not just being uttered by some blogger on a website, not just John Q. Citizen, but rhetoric that is being issued and uttered by thought leaders within the Democratic Party, elected officials, political consultants, heads of organizations, people in entertainment, and people in entertainment and academia, all left-wing. They don't say that in this piece, but there's also been a significant rise in left-wing political violence. And police chiefs, which by the way is normally a very left-leaning organization, because police chiefs are largely, they're not. It's not like they're sheriffs. Sheriffs are elected. Police chiefs are appointed, and many of them are appointed by liberal city councils. It tends to be a center to center left organization. Even they are recognizing the problem here. And so I think them standing up and them actually saying something should carry some weight. So hopefully y'all will buy into that. Hopefully y'all will see that. Hopefully some of the folks on the left, because I got to tell you, it's frustrating. I still deal with people on the left who don't want to admit, the role that the left plays in some of this stuff. They still don't want to admit that their rhetoric is what leads to a lot of this political violence. They don't. Seem to think, yeah, I can call someone a Nazi all I want. I can accuse them of trying to kill all black people or kill all gays, and I can still accuse them of wanting to lock people up, and that it's the end of democracy, and that has no impact. Well, guess what? It does. And now police chiefs are telling you, yeah, it does. All right, folks, so that now brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com, use the discount code The Rundown. All caps, no spaces, one word. Get your Hog Holster today on discount. All right, today we're going to do a list from over at the Babylon Bee. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth came out and basically laid down the law. We're not going to have any more wokeism, and we're going to have the same standards for everybody there in the military. And so we have this list here over the Babylon Bee, 10 changes Hegseth is making to military health requirements. Let's see how funny this one is. Number 1, must consume a minimum of 7 pounds of beef per day. Ooh, I like this one. This does not include the expected daily supplements of raw bovine liver. Yeah, I kind of like that one. Must be skinny enough to fit through the top hatch of an Abrams tank. Getting stuck will get you immediately thrown into the brig. Yeah, okay. Can get up out of a chair. Surprisingly, 92% of generals can't do this without assistance. Okay, that's a little bit of exaggeration, but I bet you they can't do it without making a sound, without making noise. Like, anyway. 4, must be at least 5 years removed from their last bowl of Lucky Charms. Wow, that's going to put a lot of people out. It says here, you can enjoy delicious cereal or you can be a highly trained killing machine. You can't do both. Yeah, okay, I take offense to that one. Anyway, you must be able to push commie out of a helicopter with one hand. One of the most important skills in our nation. Yes, I get that. Be up to date on all inoculations against woke mind virus. This would help solve more problems in U.S. military than just physical fitness. Number 7, anyone who runs like a little fairy boy will be dishonorably discharged. Wow. Okay. That was a little extreme. That one was funny. Okay. Must be able to pick up hot chicks. Okay, no, but all right. Anyway, anyone who can't scale the Pentagon wall with a grappling hook is out. You still have to do stuff like this literally every day in the Army, and must have a Y chromosome. This this automatically makes you someone way stronger. All right, not the best list in the world, but hey, it'll do in a pinch. All right, folks. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it could have been a better list. Anyway, that's going to bring us to the end of our program. But before we go, we're going to do one last shout out to our sponsors. We're going to start with Hitman Industries, rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at hitmanindustries.net. We got the California Republican Assembly, the conscience of the Republican Party. Check them out at cragop.org. And then we've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market at hogholsters.com, helping Americans wear guns. And then we've got a place where you can find all things tactical except the gun at uscombatgear.com. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow being, I will be back tomorrow for our Free for All Friday. Till then, y'all have fun, stay safe, and we will see you mañana.